Hi everyone, it's time for another game review, and this time it's going to be Ninjas and Super Spies by Palladium Books. Ninjas and Super Spies is a standalone game published in 1988 by Palladium Books. It's a game that you can use by itself, or you can incorporate it into any of a number of other Palladium Books publications, such as TMNT, Heroes Unlimited, Beyond the Supernatural, and Rifts, which was a large part of the appeal for the game for me growing up. A lot of the characters I created with this game were mutant animal type characters that I would use to bring over into Rifts, or to have a martial art add-on to a character would mean just another layer of development that would be fun to use. The game is set up to be the characters are to be members of a group of a spy agency, some sort of espionage covert organization, or the member of a reclusive martial art dojo that would solve crime or solve mysteries and ultimately come up against adversaries. I really like the cover art of the book as a kid. It shows a big culminating battle between ninjas and spies. Lots of activity going on in the background, a pile of apparent corpses in the foreground, with a ninja and a super spy duking it out in the middle. And it looks as though the ninja might have gotten the better of the spy with a kick, and it's about to finish him off. But I noticed as a kid that the spy has this little timer or a contraption strapped to his leg that's counted down to 00. So I thought to myself that the spy maybe would get the last laugh by detonating a bomb or something that would see the end of the two of them. So as with all the other previous Palladium Books publications, you create a character in the same way, where you roll up your attributes, select the class, but in this game you pick a martial art instead of choosing one of the martial arts that are given to you by your class. You get to choose a martial art, and then you roll up your character's background, buy equipment, and lastly choose your alignment and discipline. So for this game you have the option of choosing a martial art, or you could randomly roll. There's lots of familiar martial arts there that you'll probably be recognize. This is jiu-jitsu and sumo and taekwondo, but there's a number of fairly exotic martial arts that as a kid I hadn't heard of before. The game encourages you to play a wide variety of international character backgrounds. Being an international spy game and a martial arts game, there's a strong tendency towards Asian backgrounds. You've got, of course, Japan and China, sections of Tibet, and even subgroups within different nations. Tibetan or Kazakh or Uyghur, or even Golog, which is described as a very fierce nomadic people with their own language, lived by hunting, herding, and occasional banditry. You can even randomly roll for your height and weight. If you're a Westerner, a roll of 1 on a percentile will start you off at 5'2", or an 80 plus 3D 10 pounds. If you're an Oriental, a roll of 1 on a percentile starts you off at 4'8". So the game makers make a distinction between, I guess, the stereotype that Asian folks are smaller. You can choose a background, and that's some strange options here as well. 51 to 55 will make you formally insane, which means at one time the character was institutionalized for a severe mental problem. Roll on insanity tables. Of course, there's remote chance that under severe stress the character may revert or go off your medication, I guess. There are 14 different classes you can choose from in the game. They're basically a different combination of how many martial arts skill lists you get to choose from, or whether or not your character is hooked up with cybernetics. We didn't choose all of these. Not all of them were of interest to us. We tended to stick to just a few. The martial artist, the dedicated martial artist, is the only class in the game that allows you to have 3 different martial arts from which you can pull powers and maneuvers from. The dedicated martial artist is, of course, the monk type character that will spend his or her entire life dedicating themselves to the understanding and the study of martial arts. If you were to choose the worldly martial artist, this is the character that sort of snuck out at night and wasn't as obedient to the sensei, and therefore has a little more worldly knowledge, but only has a couple of martial arts to choose from. The other OCCs, or classes in the game, are different variations on spies. You've got an espionage agent, the wired agent, which is a lot of cybernetics. The gadgeteer agent uses a lot of special equipment. The operative is the highly educated spy that relies on skills. You've got a free agent. You can play a thief. There's a wandering free agent and a professional. And then you can play a veteran soldier, a highly cybernetic character, a cyborg soldier that's basically more machine than man. And then the MacGyver type character, where you can build things on the fly with fairly loose mechanics, but some skill rolls allow you to build things with just the rudimentary items around. So you've got the Tinkerer, the most dedicated and serious of the Gizmoteers. You've got the Jack of all trades, which is considered the Dreamer. And then the Gizoid Gizmoteer. I don't know if anyone ever played this character or not, but it's sort of it looks like it's an in-between between a cybernetic agent and a Gizmoteer. Any good spy, of course, needs a cover identity, and the book lists a number of possibilities that include types of skills that you can include, chances of accidental discovery, and the amount of time you need to devote to sort of embedding yourself in a particular background. And then it gives you, through a point system, rules on creating a spy agency. And we would set up a budget and have a lot of fun actually trying to allocate points around to build an agency that would give the characters access to equipment and resources for traveling, and this was a fun aspect of the game. And we'd spend some time doing that. And things like how much military power the group would have, whether or not it was a secret or open organization, took different resources, internal security, communications. Section that goes into cybernetics. Basically, every body part is replaceable, and if you have enough money, you can build yourself a cybernetic character that will give you superhuman abilities, hidden weapons, and what have you. Make your character stronger by having mechanical parts. And of course the spy needs a spy car, so the game has got rules on building a super vehicle, and I think these are similar rules that were laid out in the Roadhogs game from my TMNT review. But basically you build the shell of a vehicle and then you add weaponry and armor to it, and speed modifications. Rules include not just ground vehicles but jets and helicopters as well. You can add armor to your vehicle, weapons, special sensory communication equipment. And then the crux of the game is surrounding the information on martial arts. And in addition to the specific martial arts, there are a bunch of martial art powers that you can choose from, mind tricks that you can play on people, escape techniques, mind over matter, building up extra strength by going through punishing ordeals through your training, touch attacks that would stun people, being able to use your chi to yell, for example, a martial art cry that would stun your opponent. A whole bunch of little abilities like that were fun to tack onto your character. Here's the effect of the chi or ki powered yelling ability. And then there's a large section on different martial arts. And again, some of these were more interesting to us than others, some more familiar than others. But they basically go through a description, a history of the martial art, bonuses that it would give you, and then combat bonuses or techniques. And each one would provide you with a level-based progression that you can go through as you go up to 15th level was the top out for the game. So Jiu-Jitsu, for example, which is one that I hadn't really heard of as a kid until it became popularized through UFC. Entrance requirements for Jiu-Jitsu include no honorable alignments, but there are no attribute restrictions. So I guess there's no honor amongst the Jiu-Jitsu artist. It's 9 years of dedication, or 5 if it's a secondary martial art. And basically it's described as whatever works. That's Jiu-Jitsu. Gives you information on your gi or your costume. Describes what your stance looks like. Again, just for immersion purposes. Bonuses to your character, and then how many attacks per melee or attacks per round that you receive. And there's a glossary of maneuvers, and these are the various attacks and defensive maneuvers that you could perform if you had this particular martial art. So for martial art powers, for example, you'd be able to choose 4 powers from amongst Atemi abilities or special katas and or martial art techniques. You'd know how to speak Japanese, and then as you progressed, you'd gain different abilities. Each martial art also had a nice little blurb at the end, basically saying why you should choose this one. And Jiu-Jitsu is designed to get the job done. And the book ends with a fairly good section on weapons. Of course, it concentrates on handheld weapons for the martial artist. This was neat to read as a kid. Ninja tools, blowguns, and various tricks that the ninja could employ. And then modern weapons and special spy weapons. And then there's a little bit of adventure supplements, plot hooks and things at the end of the book. So this was a game that we enjoyed making characters up for. We didn't spend too much time, playing out full-fledged campaigns. Largely, we spent a lot of time playing rifts. So Ninjas and Superspies was a good supplement to add on to a character, to add a martial art that would give you special abilities and make for a fun character to play.